This weird plant is called Euphorbia neorubella, and you could actually see that it is starting to flower, which is pretty cool because not all the plants that I'm showing you are actually in flower. And this was with a different kind of genus before, and Monadenium, I believe, and that's how it's usually sold as. So this one I actually have growing for about 2 years, and this was stuck kind of like in one of the pipes, and I had to pull it out because one of the new pieces of this was actually growing in one of the pipes, and I unfortunately pulled it out and ripped off the tip of it, which is unfortunate, but you know, this is what happens when you actually pull the plant away from a growing space that it's been growing in for quite some time. This particular plant is actually getting a tremendous amount of light, so you could actually see that it's starting to get this kind of purplish or reddish hue, and it's largely because it is in my southwest facing window. This plant is typically native to kind of the acacia grasslands within Kenya and Tanzania, and you could see that I have this in a pretty rocky mix. So this is a very well draining mix, and I usually put my plants that have this kind of tuberous kind of caudex or this kind of swollen base of stem in a little bit more of a rockier mix, only because I want it to not stay wet. If this stays wet, it actually starts to biodegrade, and you don't want that to happen. So this one, even though it's starting to look, I think, a little bit parched because it's puckering in its leaves or whatever, I typically withhold water until once every 2 weeks in the winter months, and then as spring starts to emerge, I start watering it a little bit more, like once a week. And so I just watered this the other day, so it's starting to look a little bit better than what it had been before. But I really do kind of like these really cool succulents that kind of have these like medusa-like tendrils to it, and this particular one has that kind of quality. As far as humidity goes, this plant doesn't need much humidity, and fertilizing, this would be great on a monthly fertilizer, maybe like a 247 or a 347, very similar to what you do in your cacti mixes. And yeah, but I've not had any problem whatsoever with this plant as far as pests go, and no pest pressures whatsoever. So if you get a chance and you want some kind of weird and wacky succulent, then you might want to try this Euphorbia.